Hey guys, welcome back. It's Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Toy Story 4. It actually disappointed at the box office. Even though it made over $100 million opening weekend, that wasn't enough. That wasn't what the projection was for it. They were hoping for 160 to 200 million, and it underperformed. It did 118 million. Last year, Incredibles 2 did 182 million.
Right.
But then again, people have been waiting so long for a sequel to The Incredibles, and I don't know if there really was a huge demand for a Toy Story 4.
Most people thought it ended with 3 and they didn't need a 4th one. I think they just set it up, honestly, to do spin-off movies. I really do.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Toy Story 4 underperforming. We're going to talk about the box office this year underperforming, this summer underperforming, and Dark Phoenix, which has been flushed out of theaters already because it underperformed, and that's putting it mildly. It flat out bombed. Before we get into the video, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. It definitely helps the channel out. We're shooting for 40,000. I think we're almost at 40,000. Mm-hmm. Actually, by the time this video goes up, we might be at 40,000, but thank you so much. We're trying to get to 100,000. And we appreciate the support, everybody.
Power to the people. Anyway, go ahead.
So before we talk about the disaster that's Dark Phoenix, we'll talk about the disappointment of Toy Story 4. Now, I have heard, we did another video on it. We have not seen it yet. It wasn't a movie I was in any great rush to go out and see opening weekend.
I'm sorry.
We've heard mixed things. A lot of people said it was a really good movie. There was an article on Vulture that made, I guess, their takeaway was very different from what most people's takeaway was.
Yeah, it was really reaching, I think, on that one. I mean, from what I'm hearing from people, they might have had some elements of that, but not to the extent that they made it out.
Yeah, Vulture, again, an example of clickbait. They made it out like Toy Story 4 was all about old men getting out of the way and letting the new generation take over. And Trump is awful. That's what their takeaway from.
Somehow they made it about Trump.
They made Toy Story about Trump. I've heard from people who I trust that Toy Story 4 was actually pretty good. But it wasn't enough to bring people out in force to go see it. And I think it's just, the article that we're looking at is actually from USA Today, and they're speculating that people are burnt out on sequels, remakes, reboots. They're tired of the same old thing again and again and again.
Well, I was going to say that I know before it came out, they were posting these articles. They're expecting it to hit like 160 and everything else in pre-sales and stuff. And then it didn't. And now the articles are saying, wow, they did a whopping 118 million. They did the same thing with other movies that they thought were going to hit us to a higher amount and they didn't.
Yeah.
And then they're like, but it hit this amount. Like they completely forget about the projections they made like a few days prior. Like, oh my gosh, it hit this amount. It's so great. It's all the spin.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been seeing this with several movies.
Solo, I think, was the worst. Solo was the worst example of it. It was like, oh, it's going to do like 200 million. Then they walked it back to like 150 million, then 120 million, and then it wound up at like 80, which is a disaster for Star Wars.
Right.
To do 80 million.
So I think people are just tired of it. I mean, I think this goes back to what we've been saying over and over and over again. Stop rebooting everything.
Yeah.
Stop making sequels to everything. Let's have some new things. People are tired of the same old, same old. We want new things.
Yeah, and that's what the takeaway here is on USA Today. And they said that a lot of the bombs were basically sequels nobody asked for. X-Men, Men in Black International. They're either soft reboots or sequels or remakes. And nobody asked for these movies, and Hollywood just keeps trying to play it safe, and it's actually biting them in the ass right now because people maybe don't want to play it safe anymore. Maybe they want something new. They want something new.
Yeah, they're just tired of it. And and another trend we've seen with entertainment is, especially they take an older thing from like the 80s or 90s, they completely change it so much that it's not, the old fans don't like it either.
Yeah.
So let's stop doing that. Let's try to make some new things. Let's get some new titles, new things we can look forward to. I think people are just getting burnt out on all of it.
Yeah, so Incredibles 2, of course, last year did $182 million.
People asked for that one for years.
People been waiting for Incredibles.
That one was asked for.
Yeah, Finding Dory did 135. Even Shrek the Third, which in my opinion was the worst Shrek movie, the third Shrek did 121 million. So this isn't knocking it out of the park, but it's still, decent.
But even with Marvel, they're talking about Marvel and Avengers and Endgame and Captain Marvel. They're doing Spider-Man too. It's like there's too many in a row. I think it's just too much. And Disney keeps saying they worry about franchise burnout. that's what they're setting it up for, because you know, you're setting up everybody has to go to all these movies, and we used to be like one a year and it was okay, but now you have 3. So I'm just saying that. And then it says here about, you know, sequels like Dark Phoenix, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which Godzilla is good. I don't know why it didn't do well. Go see it. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
And Men in Black International and Toy Story 4, they just, you know, films didn't get great reviews either.
Yeah, and they got good reviews, and they're like, oh, well, Toy Story 4 had good reviews and the other ones didn't. And, you know, but I think it's just, yeah, it's franchise fatigue. So, you know, going down to the bottom, you scroll past, and, you know, Chucky didn't do well at all. Child's Play did not do well. But it said in a summer season that's running 6.5% off the pace of last year, according to ComScore, many had positioned Toy Story 4 as a surefire savior. Instead, the weekend was down 27.2% from the same time last year, overwhelming the industry's market leader. Disney was thought immune to any sequel downturn. They've struck out this year a couple times. You know, Dumbo was a huge flop.
Let's be honest here. Other than a couple exceptions, in the last couple of years, their movies aren't doing well. They pushed Nutcracker in the 4 Realms, didn't do well. They pushed Wrinkle in Time, didn't do well. What performs? Marvel.
Yeah.
Which they overkilled. What performs? Marvel. Let's just keep slamming out Marvel movies, because they'll just keep paying for it. People are just tired. They're tired. And they're not made of infinite money, Disney.
Well, that's just it. They don't understand. Most other studios would love to have a film underperform to 118 million with an expectation of long-term playability. Outside of Spider-Man Far From Home, Toy Story 4 has no family-friendly competition until Lion King Remake opens July 19th.
Their own movies are eating each other.
Yeah, I think that's it. They're tripping over each other. And now they're talking the guy from ComScore. Summer's been a real head scratcher. I think there's a couple of things going on here. And we can even talk a little bit about your theory with Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah. My theory is it's odd they're releasing Spider-Man on a Tuesday. I think it's the 2nd, which is, I believe, it's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because they usually release them on Thursday and Friday. Well, why would they do that? Because the 4th of July is usually a big day. They want to release them around the 4th. I think a couple things here. You know, people aren't going to be going there. They're going to be family things. But I think the number one reason is Stranger Things drops on the 4th of July. And everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of people didn't watch it, surprisingly, but there is a massive amount of people who are into geek culture and things like that are going to stay home to watch Stranger Things and binge it. So you need to get out there a couple days prior, because then maybe they'll go see that and then watch Stranger Things. I mean, people might say I'm wrong, and I might be wrong, but I really think that is a big part of why they moved it to a Tuesday.
Well, I think it's the same demographic, because the Spider-Man movies, I think, probably skew younger, because we're dealing with teenage characters, and so Stranger Things. So I think Netflix is part of it. I think all the streaming options are part of it. People now, I mean, God, you can buy a massive, 4K TV for under $500. Right. Go get yourself a surround sound, not have to deal with, all the chaos that goes into going to the movies, and the ticket prices are so high. Well,
the costs are too expensive. I mean, you're paying how much per movie, and then popcorn taking your whole family, and people just can't keep affording to do it every other week.
Yeah.
And then, they should, people just rather stay home, because like the 3-hour Avengers Endgame, at home you watch it on DVD, if you have to go to the bathroom, you can go to the bathroom, and you don't miss anything. But also I was going to say about the 4th of July, a lot of people are going to have 4th of July on a Thursday, so they're just going to take Thursday, they probably get Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. To me, that would have been a better time to release Spider-Man, because you're going to have a 4-day weekend. But because of Stranger Things, because most people are going to spend their 4-day weekend watching Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That's what our kids are going to do.
Yeah, they don't have, I mean, we'll go see Spider-Man, but it's not something that, it's like, oh my God, we got to go immediately and go see Spider-Man. But yeah, and then we talk about, what happened with X-Men. It got flushed from the theaters already. There's so much.
Was it 3 weeks?
It wasn't even 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is ridiculous. Now, X-Men Dark Phoenix was a huge bomb. And it just didn't look good. It didn't look good. And it's not because, they try to come up with all these excuses.
Oh, it's Alita's fault.
Yeah, we read it was Alita's fault. We read it was Divergent's fault. We read, of course, we think it's Captain Marvel's fault. We think Disney did what they could do to protect Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel has a future, whereas the Fox X-Men has no future.
Right.
So they're like, we're going to protect
I guess they
Carol.
took some story elements out of it, changed dates and stuff. But the director did take the blame for it, though, which I thought was a refreshing change from blaming all the fans for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. But it's getting flushed already. 3 weeks into wide release, the final film in the X-Men series apparently is being pulled from cinemas nationwide. According to Exhibitor Relations, Phoenix is set to lose 1,600 theaters, which amounts to 44% of the cinemas it has been shown in. Despite coming in second place at the box office during its opening weekend, that's a disaster for an X-Men movie to come in second place, but behind The Secret Life of Pets 2.
Oh yeah, it's pretty
You know,
bad.
I never
It's
thought,
pretty
because
bad.
it used to be the X-Men movies were summer tentpole.
They were events.
They were event
But
movies.
remember back in the day too, they didn't have so many huge big movies every other month like they keep doing now. And
Yeah.
it's like, and Disney especially, they just keep every month they have some big release and they just eat each other. They're eating their own.
Yeah, they are. They are. So yeah, the films earned just over 60 million domestically. So it's a financial blow to Fox, but maybe they'll have to sell the company.
To someone like Disney.
Yeah, maybe
See,
they
Disney should have
sell the
waited.
company.
They could have got it cheaper.
They could have got it cheaper. So yeah, they're flushing it from the theaters already. Again, to make room for probably, like, when we went to go see Endgame, the theater we usually go to only has like 7 or 8 screens, and half of those screens were Endgame.
Yeah, I think that they pulled that with it. They had like Disney was like buying out the screen, so that they were making it that they couldn't fail, and I think that's a lot to do with it.
So they're probably flushing Dark Phoenix. They're putting more theaters up for Toy Story. They're going to have more theaters for Lion King. And Disney doesn't, I mean, you know, look, Disney doesn't want to lose money, but I think they're like with the X-Men, it's like, this is dead to us because we're going to reboot it in a few years anyway. And then we're going to milk that one dry.
Probably.
So I don't know.
If I were movie studios, I'd start looking into new things. I'd start trying to find people that have really exciting new projects. And if you want to compete with Disney, because Disney pretty much is becoming a monopoly, and I don't think that's really right.
No.
But if you want to compete, you're going to have to start, going back to the well on this stuff isn't going to cut it. You're going to need to do new things with a wide appeal. And get everybody on board with that, because what's going on, they keep taking these, I didn't see Child's Play, I'm not going to watch it, I don't like horror movies, but they keep taking these played out, or these old properties from the 80s, and they keep thinking they're going to, we're going to make it modern, but they make it unrecognizable to the originals, and then people are like, why does no one like it? It's because the fans are all misogynist trolls, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's because your movie sucked.
Well, I mean, look, our generation had almost all new stuff.
Originality is great.
And that's why, we're so I think nostalgic for the 80s and the 90s, is because almost everything was new. It was sort of like,
it was always exciting. Something new's coming.
It was like peak pop culture. And now it's like, today's generation, they're getting the hand-me-downs. They're getting knockoffs of superior products, movies and TV and games. And, it is kind of sad, because I'm like, what's the next generation going to have? Like a knockoff of a knockoff of a knockoff?
Right. It's like a copy of a copy of a copy is nowhere near as good as the original. And, I was thinking about Stranger Things. I think the reason Stranger Things is such a phenomenon and so it works so well is because it actually, feels like it's from the 80s. It actually, they actually honor the 80s. They don't try to change the 80s. They don't try to modernize the 80s. They don't try to shoehorn diversity. It's there, but we don't make it a point. We make the story the point, and it's nostalgic in a way that's done well. It's not like what they did with She-Ra. It's not like what they did with, Ghostbusters, what the other one they had with the women. Yeah. It's not like, some of these other things they're doing. It actually feels like it could have been from the 80s, and it's nostalgia done right, and it's doing well.
Yeah, and it's also, though, I think it's sort of been a double-edged sword, though, because I think with Stranger Things, everybody's like, oh, the 80s are hot now. Let's go back and
ruin everything.
Let's go back and reboot everything from the 1980s because Stranger Things is such a hit.
No, I think you're right. But Stranger Things does it well, and they do it in a way that actually respects the 80s and, is a great thing for nostalgia without ruining it.
Without being a direct copy. I mean, granted, 95% of Stranger Things you can look at and be like, well, that's taken from this movie, and that's taken from this movie, and that's...
But it's still its own thing.
Yeah,
it's not like, it's not calling itself, She-Ra or, something like that. It's its own thing. And it takes inspiration from that, and it draws from that, and it clearly does. But it does it in a way that feels fresh, but nostalgic at the same time, and it's done well. And that's why I think it does well. These things, they keep going back to the well, but they do it wrong.
Yeah, and it's the studios are going to have to be more creative, I think. If you're going to try to get people to the movie theater, they have to have a reason to come to the theater. I mean, why, when you've got, Netflix out there making movies that, can stand toe-to-toe with a lot of what's being released in the theater, why would you spend $10-15 a ticket when you can spend $10 or $15 for Netflix and watch all you want and on your home theater system, there's no reason to go. It's got to be something truly spectacular to pull people into the movie theater now. And you know, Hollywood's just regurgitating the same stuff. So
I think the studios would do better if they just released it for a home release like a week or two after the movie.
Yeah.
Not like I'm saying like, you know, you're buying a copy, but like you could just rent it for like one showing or something.
Yeah.
I think they would do better because people just don't want to go to the theater. It's too expensive.
No.
And you can't go to the bathroom. You can't talk about things. You can't make noise. You can't do whatever. I just, you know, in a family, there's 4 of us. And when we go, it's not cheap.
no, and that's even going like on dollar. I mean,
We go the cheap plan. It's still expensive.
just going like on a Tuesday night or something with the 4 of us, it winds up being, you know, $50-$60. You know,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Even the dollar theater. We used to have a dollar theater, and now it's like the $5 theater. It's like $5 to $7 a ticket.
It's the same price as it is to go far away
Right,
at this
right.
point. So it's not really a bargain. So, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. I think that they're not performing because people are just tired. They're tapped out. They're tired of the same old. Give us something fresh and new. Don't
Yeah.
give us more damn sequels and reboots.
I agree. Let's wrap this one up.
All right.
Okay, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, rants, gaming videos, art videos, and more here on Clownfish TV. This has been Neon and Geeky.
Bye.
Goodbye. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.